So now let's discuss about the first financial statement which a not-for-profit organization prepares, and that the statement is receipt and payment account. This is the first financial statement which every charitable institute or a club they usually prepare. So now what is receipt and payment account? If I call it in a simple language, it is nothing but just a summary of the cash book. You have learned how to prepare cash book in class 11, right? So the way the cash book is prepared, the purpose for which we were preparing the cash book, the same is the purpose and the same is the manner of making receipt and payment account only. So the receipt and payment account is just the summary of the cash book itself. But still, there are some differences between the receipt and payment account and the cash book. Though I call it as the summary of cash book only, it is same as that of cash book itself, but still there are some differences. So now let's see what are those differences. First is you prepare cash book on chronological basis. It means on daily basis you were preparing the cash book, if you remember, right? But receipt and payment account is prepared at the end of the financial year. Means just like trading account, P&L account, we are preparing receipt and payment account on 31st of March only, means the day on which our financial year ends. So this is the first point of distinction between the cash book and receipt and payment account. Secondly, receipt and payment account is not the part of double entry system, right? As it is just a summary, so it's not a part of double entry system. But your cash book is a part of double entry system, okay? Then the third point is, if you remember that in cash book, you used to make one ledger folio. Ledger folio shows the page number of the ledger on which such and such transaction or so and so transaction will be recorded, right? So in like cash book has a ledger folio, but receipt and payment account doesn't have a ledger folio. So this is the third point of distinction. Otherwise, the rules of making the cash book and the receipt and payment account is same. There are many similarities also. See what kind of similarities? If you remember that the cash book worked on the principle of real accounts, because cash is a real account itself as it is an asset. So obviously the rule which we used to follow on assets were implemented on the same rules were implemented on cash book only. So here also the same rule will be implemented on receipt and payment account also, that the nature of account is real. Receipt and payment account is a real account, right? It's debit, you may say, and the rule is this: debit what comes in and credit what goes out. In simple language, if I say, as I told you that receipt and payment account is a summary of cash book only. So whenever cash will come into the business, you are going to record that cash on the debit side of receipt and payment account. And if cash goes out, the recording will be done on the credit side. Then the next step, that receipt and payment account, it starts with the opening balance. Now opening balance of what? As you know that it is a summary of cash book. So it starts with the opening balance of cash in hand as well as opening balance of bank. I hope this thing is clear to you. Like you remember that in cash book we used to make double column cash book also. In that double column cash book we used to make two columns. The first column is of cash and the another column is of bank. The cash transaction we used to record in the cash column and the banking transaction we used to record in the bank column. And this bank column represents, अब आपको याद होगा ये bank column क्या होता है? जैसे हर एक बिजनेस का एक अपना अकाउंट होता है बैंक में. लाइक सपोज इफ यू आर रनिंग अ बिजनेस, तो आपने अपने बिजनेस का अकाउंट एसबीआई बैंक में ओपन किया, ठीक है? तो नो डाउट एसबीआई बैंक विल आल्सो रिकॉर्ड द ट्रांजैक्शंस जो बैंक से रिलेटेड होंगी, बट यू आल्सो कीप अ रिकॉर्ड ऑफ द सेम इन योर कैश बुक, राइट? सो सेम वे ये बैंक अकाउंट भी वही चीज शो करता है. सपोज इफ यू आर रनिंग अ ट्रस्ट, राइट? तो उस ट्रस्ट का भी तो किसी बैंक में पर्टिकुलर अकाउंट होगा. सो दैट बैंक इज नो डाउट मेंटेनिंग ऑल द ट्रांजैक्शंस ऑफ द ट्रस्ट व्हिच आर रिलेटेड टू द बैंक, but the trust should also make a record. So where the trust is going to make the record? The trust is going to make the record in the bank column of the receipt and payment account. So this is also the similarity between the cash book and the receipt and payment account, right? So it starts with the opening balance of cash in hand and bank. Now, and obviously If you remember that, why do you prepare the cash book? आप क्यों बनाते हो cash book को? You always prepare the cash book to calculate buy balance carried down, if you remember. And the buy balance carried down shows the closing balance of cash and the closing balance of bank. Means आपने suppose cash book आप monthly basis पे daily basis पे बनाते थे, तो हर month के end पर आप cash book को close करते थे ये चेक करने के लिए कितना कैश आया, कितना कैश गया और कितना कैश रहता है. So same way we are preparing the receipt and payment account just to check how much cash has come in the business, right? Which we used, which we record throughout the year in the receipt and payment account, and it ends with the closing balance, right? It starts with the opening balance of cash in hand and cash at bank, and it closes with the closing balance of cash in hand and cash at bank, which represents the amount of cash in hand left with the trust and the amount of the amount of money left in the bank, right? कि आपके कि ट्रस्ट के बैंक में कितना पैसा है और ट्रस्ट के पास अभी कितना कैश इन हैंड है. रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट अकाउंट ये चीज शो करता है, एंड इट क्लोजेस विद दिस थिंग ओनली. Then the next is nature of items recorded on debit on credit side. As I told you that जब भी अब money business में आएगी, or you may say whenever the money comes in the in any NPO, so that incoming of the money will be recorded on the debit side and the outgoing will be recorded on the credit side, right? But आपको एक चीज हमेशा ध्यान रखनी है. Please make a note of this thing. In receipt and payment account, we are recording that cash is coming into the business, irrespective of this thing, that whether the cash comes from a revenue transaction or a capital transaction, or the cash, whether the cash belongs to current year, previous year, or the following year, right? Similarly, on the credit side, we record all the transactions because of which cash is going out of the business, irrespective of the fact whether that transaction is a capital transaction or that transaction is a revenue transaction, whether that transaction relates to current year, previous year, or following year. Now let me explain what is this. You know that we generally or we do classify items or the transactions on two bases. One is revenue and other is the capital. Capital transaction means those transactions which are not related to the normal course of the business, right? So similarly, in case of NPO also, the transactions which are not related to the normal course of the trust of the charitable institute, those transactions are known as कैपिटल ट्रांजैक्शंस, राइट? और जो ट्रांजैक्शंस नॉर्मल नेचर से आपके रिलेट करती हैं, दोज ट्रांजैक्शंस आर नोन एज रेवेन्यू ट्रांजैक्शंस. लेट मी कोट वन एग्जांपल. इफ आई से a trust has taken a loan from the bank, then no doubt the money has come into the trust, right? But taking loan from the bank is not the transaction of daily, or you may say of routine nature, because you don't take loan from bank on daily basis. So right, so no doubt that this transaction results in incoming of cash, but this transaction is a capital transaction. But receipt and payment account is not at all concerned with this thing. receipt and payment को कोई मतलब नहीं है कि जो मनी आ रही है वो किस नेचर की है, कैपिटल नेचर की है या रेवेन्यू नेचर की है. वो बस मनी को, ट्रांजैक्शन को रिकॉर्ड करेगा इररिस्पेक्टिव ऑफ द फैक्ट. सेकेंडली, वो इस चीज़ को भी इग्नोर करते हैं कि जो मनी बिजनेस में आ रही है वो प्रेजेंट फाइनेंशियल ईयर की है, प्रीवियस फाइनेंशियल ईयर की है या आने वाले फाइनेंशियल ईयर की है. लाइक सपोज इफ लेट्स से द करंट फाइनेंशियल ईयर इज 2020-21, राइट? तो अगर सपोज किसी ट्रस्ट के पास नेक्स्ट फाइनेंशियल ईयर का कुछ एडवांस में मनी आ जाएगी तो वो उसे भी रिकॉर्ड करेगा. किस अकाउंट में करेगा? रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट अकाउंट में करेगा. So it means receipt and payment account is not at all concerned with the item, or you may say the nature of the item recorded. Here nature, represents, or here nature is, is being discussed from the point of view of revenue and capital. It means receipt and payment को मतलब है बस कैश के आने या कैश के जाने से. अगर कैश आएगा वो रिकॉर्ड कर लेगा, उसे कोई मतलब नहीं है कि वो कैश करंट ईयर का है, प्रीवियस ईयर का है या फाइनेंशियल ईयर का है, या वो कैश किसी कैपिटल ट्रांजैक्शन से आया या रेवेन्यू ट्रांजैक्शन से आया, राइट? सो द सेम रूल इज एप्लीकेबल ऑन द क्रेडिट साइड ऑल्सो. किसी भी ट्रांजैक्शन से पैसा बिजनेस से जा रहा है, वो ट्रांजैक्शन करंट ईयर की थी, प्रीवियस ईयर की थी या आने वाली ईयर की थी, you are not at all concerned with that. You have to record the same transaction in receipt and payment account. And the last feature is that it doesn't record any non-cash transactions. You know, non-cash transactions like depreciation, like outstanding expenses or accrued incomes. So such transactions will not be recorded in receipt and payment account, because in transactions से ना तो business में cash आता है ना जाता है. You know, outstanding expenses. Outstanding means expenses of the current year, but we haven't paid it in cash. अब अगर कैश में पे किया ही नहीं तो कैश गया ही नहीं, तो कैश गया ही नहीं, so this transaction will not be recorded in receipt and payment account. So I hope the features, the similarities of receipt and payment with that of cash book and the differences are clear to you. Keep noting down all the facts. Now let's move to the next financial statement. So now let's discuss about the next financial statement, that is income and expenditure account. See, income and expenditure account is similar to that of trading and profit and loss account. Means the rules which you learned in class 11, the method which you learned in class 11 of making a trading and P&L account is absolutely same, right? It means that you don't have to, learn, anything new in that. More or less the things are same. The method is same, the format is same, more or less everything is same. The way you were doing adjustments there in class 11, no, in that chapter financial statement with adjustments, those adjustments are also same. The way you were treating outstanding expenses there, and here also you are going to do the same. It means it's exactly same as that of trading profit and loss account, right? So now let's discuss about some features or similarities and some dissimilarities. The first point is nature and purpose. See, as I told you that it is same as that of income and it is same as that of trading and P&L account. Then you know that trading and P&L account was a kind of nominal account. So income and expenditure is also a nominal account, where on the debit side you are going to record all the expenses and the losses, and on the credit side you are going to record all the incomes. This is the first point. Then you know that we used to prepare trading and profit and loss account to calculate gross profit and net profit, but we used to prepare, or we are learning how to prepare income and expenditure account so that we can learn how to calculate surplus and deficit. This is the, a little thing is different, and that we have already discussed also. Then nature of items recorded. Now on the debit side and on the credit side, we are going to record the expenses and incomes, no doubt. But we are going to record the expenses of only revenue nature. Incomes also we are going to record only of revenue nature. It means the such expenses and incomes we are going to record which are related to the normal routine of the not for the profit organization. Then we are going to record the expenses of the current year only and incomes of the current year only, irrespective of the fact that whether we have received that income in cash or not, or the concerned expense has been paid in cash or not. So I hope you remember this rule. This is the rule of accrual basis concept, that in the books of the current financial year, expenses of current year and incomes of the current year should be recorded, irrespective of the fact that whether they have been received or paid in cash or not. So I am repeating this thing again. हम रिकॉर्ड करेंगे एक्सपेंसेस को जो करंट ईयर के हैं, इस फैक्ट को इग्नोर करेंगे कि वो एक्सपेंसेस वेदर हमने कैश में पे किए हैं या नहीं किए. सो दिस इज one of the major point of difference between the income and expenditure account and receipt and payment account. रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट पे आप सारे एक्सपेंसेस रिकॉर्ड करते थे, चाहे वो प्रीवियस ईयर के हैं, करंट ईयर के हैं या आने वाले ईयर के हैं, फॉलोइंग ईयर के हैं. बट इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर में आप वही एक्सपेंसेस रिकॉर्ड करोगे जो करंट ईयर के हैं और वो भी जो रेवेन्यू नेचर के. रिसिप्ट एंड पेमेंट में आप एक्सपेंसेस रिकॉर्ड करते थे, चाहे वो कैपिटल है चाहे वो रेवेन्यू है, यू आर नॉट एट ऑल और यू मे से यू आर लीस्ट बॉदर्ड. But in case of incomes, you are going to record the incomes which are related to the current year and which are revenue in nature. Then this point we have already discussed, that it records expenses and incomes of current year only, and that too the nature should be revenue. It should not be of the capital nature. Then the next point is adjustments. As I already discussed with you that we are going to make adjustment of outstanding, prepaid, accrued, in advance, depreciation. It means that जैसे आप ट्रेडिंग और P&L बनाते थे सेम एडजस्टमेंट्स अब आप यहाँ पर करेंगे इनकम एंड एक्सपेंडिचर अकाउंट में, बिकॉज यू आर नॉट कंसर्न विद ओनली द कैश आइटम्स. In income and expenditure account, you are going to record the non-cash transactions also. So you will make adjustments of outstanding, prepaid, in advance and accrued. Everything you are going to do. Now the last point is basis of preparation. If you remember that we used to prepare trading and profit and loss account on the basis of trial balance. If you remember, one trial balance was given to you last year, followed by some adjustments, and you were told to prepare trading and profit and loss account. But here in this chapter, income and expenditure account is prepared from receipt and payment account. We don't make trial balance here, okay, because it is not a financial company, right? So we don't make any trial balance here. So here income and expenditure is prepared on the basis of receipt and payment. So I hope the meaning, the features of these financial statements are clear to you. And the last of all is balance sheet. The format of the balance sheet is same as that of the balance sheet which you learned in class 11. One side is liability side and other sides are the asset side. Then also the balance sheet we used to prepare on a particular date. So we used to use the word as on or as that. So same here also we are going to do, but only one thing was a little different. Last year or you may say in a business company, on the liability side we used to write the word capital, but here we are going to write the word capital fund. Rest everything is same, nothing new is there. So now in the next video lecture we are going to discuss about the terminologies. Like in class 11 you learned about some basic accounting terms, so here also few terms are there which you should know so that you can solve the questions easily. Thank you.